Let's get into position for the banded pullovers on the foam roller. Now, if this ends up being a little too complicated to try to get into position, you can just simply do this exercise on the ground. So we have just the floor banded pullovers. I'll put a link to that below. It is a little tricky getting into position with this one. I feel like it's worth it just because it helps our lower body work a little bit more and helps us to get our shoulders back by having some space on either side. But just wanted to mention that in case it's too much trouble. You either want a foam roller or even just a pool noodle, or like a blanket that you fold to about like 8 inches in width to put between your shoulder blades. With the foam roller, it's pretty stiff, and I find that it's uncomfortable on my spine to just lay on it like that. So I would recommend having a little blanket or a towel that you lay over it like this, okay? So we're gonna do that. Now, depending on the height of the item that you're choosing to lay on, the goal with the band where you mount it is that you just want it to be a little bit higher than your head once you're laying down on whatever it is you're laying down on, okay? So just keep that in mind. So with the foam roller, you're probably gonna be somewhere between 12 and 18 inches off the ground. You're gonna put your band through there. Now, here's the part, it's a little tricky, like I said, because basically getting far enough away and positioning yourself is a little tricky, while at the same time you gotta move the foam roller and all that stuff. You'll see me doing it, but the best way I feel like to get in the closest to good position is to hold on to both ends of the band. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and sit on your foam roller, and you wanna kind of scooch your bottom out to a point where the idea is that when your arms are overhead, not like parallel with the ground, but kind of right in this range here, you want to have tension on the band in this starting position. And so that's where it's a little tricky, where like, you know, you want to start with tension, but you also want to be able to pull the band kind of somewhere around to your lower abdomen, or at least to your chest, okay? So because of that, you might find that like, oh, I need to scoot my foam roller further away or closer back, you know, so you're just gonna have to play with that a little bit. Once you do find a position, what you're laying on, your tailbone and your head should be supported by it, okay? So that's where I am here. Hi, I'm Razel. If you're a woman in your over 40s like myself and you'd like to start doing resistance training at home, but up to this point you've felt intimidated and been kind of worried about hurting yourself, I create in-depth tutorials that not only break the movement down for you, but also show you how to do it with good form, how to avoid common mistakes, different ways to make the movement easier, more difficult. If you like my style of teaching and you'd like to continue learning with me, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com. Now, in this laying down position, you want to be able to fit 1 or 2 fingers between your low back and the surface that you're laying on. So for me, the foam roller, so that we're having a neutral spine. You don't want to be kind of tucking your glutes and flattening your low back into the foam roller. And you also don't want to arch your spine a lot so that there's, a lot of space there between your back and the roller. So just kind of elongate your spine on the roller and just kind of lay there as if you're just laying there hanging out, and then gently draw your abdominals into your spine to kind of maintain that position that you have found, okay? Now you're gonna hold one end of the band in each hand. You might wrap it around your hand a little bit if there's some extra slack. You can kind of play with that and see. And the idea is that our palms are going to be facing each other, and they're gonna be starting overhead to some degree with a little slight bend in the elbow. All right, so the band is kind of pulling my arms back, and my palms are just a few inches apart. The idea is the closer you get your palms together, the more your chest muscles will be working, but we also don't want things so close that we're kind of rounding our shoulders, So we want to try to keep those shoulders back and have a nice broad chest while having the hands closer together as much as possible. From this angle, you can see my position here with how close my hands are together. I know I'm not straight on in the camera, but to do that, we'd have to be shooting through the doorway, and I don't think technology is quite there yet. So, but anyway, you can kind of get a good idea. I've got that soft bend in my elbow, and I have my shoulders kind of pressed back versus kind of up like this. The pace is going to be a quicker towards the lower body, and then as we return, we're going to do it slowly, kind of resisting the pull of the band as we move the arms back. Now you'll notice that my arms stay fairly straight, but they do have a soft bend in them. And that's how you want to keep that. Let's go ahead and do a few now. Thanks for being with me today, ladies. Once again, I'm Razel, and if you're a woman in your over 40s like myself and you'd like to do full-length follow-along workouts with me in beautiful outdoor nature settings with, get this, chill music, and you like my style of teaching, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com.